Okay, so I've cleared the project of all of the resources. So we no longer have any resources applied anywhere in our project. And I want to kind of focus on a tool that allows us to contour hours. And what I mean by contouring, I mean by changing the number of hours a resource will work on a particular task. Okay, and we kind of did that in the last video by applying a resource and saying we're only going to have that resource work 50%, meaning 4 hours. But what if you had a situation where you wanted a resource to work on a particular task, but the hours varied? I mean, maybe if, let's say we applied, let's say clutch cargo to this particular task, and maybe on the first day of it, we want clutch to work maybe 3 hours. On the second day, maybe 5 hours. Maybe on the third day, 3 hours. Fourth day, 2 hours. That type of thing. Well, we can't get those kind of percentages just by saying, oh, apply 50%, because if we say 50%, we're just going to get 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours all the way across. We want to really vary that quite a bit. And the whole reason why we're concerned about the actual hours is not only so that the resource knows how many hours they need to work per day, but also it'll make it more accurate as far as the cost of the task. Because if we are able to perfectly contour the hours of this particular task here, then whatever they're getting paid per hour, it'll be like 3 times that amount, 2 hours times that amount, 1 hour times that amount, 5 hours times that amount, and so forth. So we'll get a lot better task costing on that. So let's take a look at this and see how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the resource tab there and go to our assign resources window. I'll try to put that up in the corner best I can there. Maybe not. I guess we'll have to do it over here. All right, so I'm going to go to this first task. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our little check mark for 48 hours and get back to seeing everybody. And again, I'll just put clutch on this one, right? So I'll click on the assign, like that. And I'm also, now that I think about it, I'm going to add one more person, because if I have to contour the hours, meaning clutch can only work maybe 2 hours on a given day, maybe then I need another resource in there to be able to work the other 6 hours so that I can get a full 8 hours of work. That makes sense? So what I'll do is I'll also click on to Herman, all right, and assign him as well, all right. I'm going to go and close this up, and there we go, all right. Now I'm going to get this little marker coming up here, and I can click on there and see what it says. It says you added a resource. In other words, what happened is I added clutch, and then I added Herman, and it says, what do you want to do? Do you want to increase the work but keep the same duration? Yeah, that's what I want to do. So click there, and we're fine. Now, let us now figure out what we're going to do here. So clutch can't work during these 4 days a full day. So whatever hours he can't work, I want Herman to make up for those, right? So kind of interesting. And again, if it was going to be an even amount, then I could say just 50% or 25% or whatever, but it's going to be varied from day to day. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go back up into view, all right? And we're going to go over here to the split view area here. And currently we have right now a split screen. We've had a split screen all along showing our timeline. We haven't talked about the timeline yet. We're going to do that in later videos, but at this point we're going to focus on the split screen additional one. And this is what we're going to do here is we're going to click on where it says details here. The screen will split, all right? And we can have a number of different views down there on that bottom screen, all right? The one that's currently there isn't going to do us any good for what we're trying to do here, but it does show you some information about it. It shows you that we've got, 2 different tasks or 2 different resources at 100%. 32 hours worth of work on each of them, which is not going to be the case, but that's what it is so far. All right. Now, we're going to go and change that view to something a little bit different. We're going to go with something called the task usage. Or I'm sorry, resource usage here. Sorry about that. Resource usage. We're going to click onto that, and that will split the screen with that view. So what you can see here is Clutch and Herman, both on task AA that you see here. So that this will be Clutch right here, and this is going to be Herman here. So all we really have to do is start out, first of all, by saying, okay, the initial thing was Clutch. We said he couldn't work every day or every, full day every day. Let's just say on this first day, we're going to type in the number 2 for 2 hours. I'll hit my right arrow key, 3 hours, 1 hour, all right? And then over here, we'll put in, let's say, 5 hours, all right? So that's good. So if that's the case, then what I need over here now is the difference, the inverse of it. So in this case, I want 6 hours out of Herman. I want 5 hours on Thursday. I want 7 hours on Friday. And then over here, I want 3 hours, all right? That balances it off. So that gives us a total of about 32 hours between both of them, which is what we're looking at. If we got 4 hours or 4 days, right? 8 hours a day, that's 32 hours, and we've got 32 hours now. So that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to clear off the split. All right, that'll take us back to where we were. If I go back to my resource tab and go to my assign resources, then you'll see while I'm on that particular task, it'll show the 2 resources, and this is the cost right here. So it's kind of interesting. I'll close that up. All right, let's look at now. I'll bring this a little bit closer so you can see it here. So let's look at these 2 tasks here, AD and AE. All right. Now you can see there's quite an overlap there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply two resources to these 2 tasks. So each task will have the same 2 resources. We'll end up getting an overallocation error. You're going to see the little red guys pop up there. Then we're going to split the screen, and on the overlap periods, we're going to set those to being where they just work 50-50. In other words, they work 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. So we're going to have working half days, or they're going to get half the hours, in essence. Well, I shouldn't say half hours. What will happen is, if you look at like this overlap here for Monday, that's a total of 16 hours of work. Well, that wouldn't be right. So what we need to do is have that up. So you'll see how we do it. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit the assign resources. I'm going to put, let's say, Gomez and Herman on that. So we'll do those 2. I'll assign them at 100%. There we go. I'll close this up. All right, so now we got the 2 guys coming out there. Why? Well, because there's an overlap. And in essence, what's happening, what it's really showing here is on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on these. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it looks like, or it might be just for the 2 days. I can't tell. But anyway, on those overlapping times, Herman and Gomez are getting paid, in essence, 16 hours worth of work a day. So we need to get that down to 8 on each of them, right? So what we'll do is we'll go back into View. We'll go back over to Details. And we're going to change this again to the resource usage. All right? So we're looking at, as far as Herman, AD and AE, and Gomez, AD and AE. Okay, so that's going to be these numbers right here. So over here, there's no problem because it's 8 hours and 8 hours for each of them, right? Which is right. So on here, what we're going to do is we're just going to have it. So, or however you want to do it, as long as it adds up to 8. So I'm going to put 4 hours there, 4 hours there, and over here, 4 hours and 4 hours. All right. So on Monday, they're still all getting paid 8 hours worth of work. All right, total. And we're going to do the same thing for Tuesday. So it looks like it was just 2 days of overlap there. All right, so we're going to do, again, we're going to do 4 hours. Now, you could do something like you say, well, I'll put, 3 hours or something, whatever you want to do, but it just can't be 8 hours. So we're going to do 4 hours there and 4 hours on that one. So for Herman, on AD and AE, 4 hours each. And on Gomez, now it could be on Gomez, Gomez could do maybe 5 hours and 3 hours, right? Still, it adds up to 8. That's what we want. So that's how that one works. Okay. So now I'll go ahead and I'll clear the split. All right. And then if I go back to my resource window here, there you can see the 2 that we're on. There they are. It doesn't show the cost on here because we got two selected there, so that's not going to work very well. But trust me, it's perfect now. All right, let's look at another one. We're going to go for the gold here now. So I'm going to click on this task here, as well as this one here and this one here. So now we've got all 3 of these, and if there's anything else in the way, we can do that one too. It looks like that's about it. All right, that's fine. That will do. All right, so now we're going to go back to our assign resources, and the situation, let's kind of pull this off just a little bit. The situation with this is that we're going to apply a number of different resources. Now, for the most part, we got overlap on all 3 on at least maybe 1 or 2 days. It looks like 3 days we've got, right? Or all 3 of them have like maybe Friday and Monday as an overlap, and then at least between the top one and the middle one, and then the middle one and the bottom one have quite an overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign Clutch, Gomez, and Herman. We'll do all 3 of them, right? So I'll take those 3 and I'll go ahead and assign them. And there we go. All right. Now, I can look at the rest of the project here, and obviously I'm not going to have any other red guys. So they're all kind of just popping up where we're kind of working at here. So that's fine. Now I'll go ahead and I'll close this window. And now what we need to do is do the split screen and just make sure that we have each of the resources working a total of 8 hours a day, right? On the overlaps and 8 hours elsewhere. So we're going to go back into our view. We're going to go back over into details, right? And then we'll change this. Now, there's another view that we have as well, and that would be the task usage. If we choose that one, it kind of breaks it up like this, and it might not be as easy to kind of figure here, but what will happen is, now we got to find where our red guys are here. Might be further down here. Yeah, the only problem with this view is that we're not going to be able to see in red where our problem areas are. So I think what I'm going to do is, instead of doing the task usage, that's not going to work with this one. It usually is okay if you just have a couple, but when you got a lot here, it gets kind of messy. So I think we'll just go back to our resource usage. I think that'll be fine. Then we'll go ahead and bring this over here, and then bring this down so we can actually see the problem areas there. So there. All right. Oop. All right. It's kind of tight there. All right. So what's happened with this is that we've got Clutch, we've got Herman, and then we've got also Gomez, okay? And the areas where you see the red, that's over allocated basically. So if we're looking at the top here, all right, we've got clutch with AH, BE, and BF. That's the three that we've got here, right? And it looks like on Friday, he's going to get paid 24 hours of work. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? He's only working a total of 8 hours in a day. So what do we have to do here? Well, what we have to do is get this to add up to 8 hours, all right? Now, to do that, what we'll do is we'll just figure, okay, well, maybe on AH, he can work 2 hours. On BE, he can work 4 hours. And maybe 2 hours on this one here, all right? Perfect. That takes care of that one, all right? On this one here, on Monday, it's the same kind of thing. Maybe we'll have them work 3 hours then, have them work 2 hours there, and 3 hours there. And that takes care of that one. See how that changes, right? Over here, it's 16 hours. So we'll make them work 4 hours there and 4 hours there. All right. And the same thing here, 4 hours and 4 hours. Got that fixed, all right? Now here's Herman's subtotals, 24, 24, 16, and 16. Quite a bit. So we'll be a little bit more even here. So we'll just say something like 3 hours, 3 hours, and 2 hours, all right? So that takes care of that one. And we can do the same thing here. I'll just do 3 hours, 3 hours, and 2 hours. This one here can be just 4 hours and 4 hours. And this one here can be 4 hours and 4 hours. All right. Last but not least is Gomez. Same kind of situation here. We'll do 3 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. 3 hours, 3 hours, and 2 hours. And for here, we'll do 4 hours. Now, what we can do with the 4 hours is we should be able to, just like in Excel, copy that over like that, and then also copy it down. Nope, of course not. Probably do one at a time here. So there's one, not even that, whatever. All right, so we'll put 4 there and 4 there. We're set. So now we have no over allocation at all. All right. So we'll go back and hit our details. And now there we go. Not bad. All right, very good. So that should give you some good ideas. I'm gonna do one more just as a review. All right. And I'll kind of do it, and then I'll kind of delay a little bit to see if you can kind of get the idea in your head of what we should do. So let's say we take these two here, all right, and I'm going to go to the resource, assign resources, and I'm going to put Herman on this one, okay? So Herman is going to do this. Now, when I do, I'll close that up now. Now, when I do that, what's the problem going to be? All right, so now, obviously, I have some overallocation. Why? Well, you look up at the top here, we've got Herman on these guys here. Now, I could very easily just say, you know what, let's just find somebody else. Well, let's just say that we want to work with this, right? So we're going to go back and go back to View, go back in there and split our screen. Resource usage, all right. All right, so our problem is going to be in this area here with the red. So what do we do? All right, so we've got BE and BF, which is what we have up there. And then a little bit further down then would be our problem area there. So you just have to kind of figure yourself, is it okay maybe to short a few hours out of some of these different tasks in order to get this to work, or do we need to just maybe just pick somebody else, you know, that can work it? And we're just going to assume that we can get away with kind of stretching it a little bit, making it a little bit thin. So the ones in red are the ones that we have to fix because they need to be changed to 8. All right. So what we can do here is maybe go and make this maybe 3 hours, 3 hours, and just have to settle with 2 hours there. Now, if we think it's going to kind of mess things up, we might have to maybe add more duration to some of those tasks, just because we're going to have some problems, right? So, but at this point, we'll do that first. I mean, if that's what you'd have to do, then you need to go out there and change the hours. But in this situation here, I can maybe just go to here, make this a 3, make this a 3, and then, I mean, it leaves us with 2 on that one, right? Or maybe what we can do is maybe make this a 5, all right, and make maybe this a 2, and make this a 1, and pull it off that way, right? And on this next one here, this is just 16 hours, so, you know, we're going to have to do something where we might say, well, I think I'd rather maybe give more hours on this one and less hours on that one, all right, because you're kind of analyzing the situation. And over here you might say, well, I'll do 4 hours and 4 hours. And on this one, I think what I'm going to have to do is make this 6 hours, and this will have to be 2. That's it. And that will then take care of that part of it for us. So it's you know, got to do what you got to do. But like I said, in that particular scenario, you might have been better off just picking somebody else, you know, for that. All right, so I appreciate you watching the video. That should kind of take care of that for you. Hopefully this is something that you can use when you're working with project. I'm sure it will be something that you'll run into and run across and figure you'll need to use. So appreciate you watching. Take care.